crush it. In a lot of ways, this is the follow-up to jab, 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 right hook, but there's a lot of crush it elements, which is like, if you do this well, if you want to be known for being a peanut butter expert, or being, a businesswoman boss, or being a landscaper, or known for, beauty, like, you implement this, you will get awareness, you will have opportunity. But what's interesting about it is, it's easier now than when I wrote crush it or jab, 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 right hook. Because to your point, and you broke it down beautifully, Jazz, like, it used to be email marketing. You would try to get as many people to follow you as possible, and then a percentage of them would see your content. Now, individual pieces of content find their audience. It's the interest graph, right? Back to visuals. This is Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr stock. They were companies that I first invested in. When I invested in Tumblr, I thought that Tumblr was gonna be bigger than Facebook and Twitter because I was obsessed with this idea of following interests, not people. Because I felt interests had more evergreen than people, because I knew that a lot of people were gonna be young, and things change a lot with your social graph between high school to college, college to post-college, and even your 20s into your 30s. And so, pre-kids. So it made sense to me that, like, my love affair with the New York Jets, or hip hop, or video games, or trading cards would stay with me much longer than maybe the kids I grew up with, but then when I moved away, or my college friends and we moved away, and so we are now in the interest graph world. And so for everyone who's listening, this is very exciting. You've got 3 people in here who've put a lot of work in to building audience and being known. The fact that you at home, if you're good enough with your content, this is why I wrote the book with such detail of how to be good at the content, your speed in getting awareness is much faster. I had to build a slow building over time to become a big building. People can get it faster now because the algorithm, like, if you're that person, you can go from 0 to 1 million followers way faster now because your content will be seen. And so we now live in the interest graph, algorithmic TikTokification world, meaning TikTok started that trend, Musically TikTok, and now every single platform, from LinkedIn to YouTube Shorts to Facebook to Twitter to Instagram to Threads, like, it's the content's reaching an audience that might like it, not who followed you. Yes, a percentage of who followed you, but it's a whole different game. Everyone listening right now would think, oh shit, these 3 have really earned over the last decade or half decade this spot. How could I've done nothing. I don't even have an account. Oh my God, wait a minute, are these 3 saying, like that? Like,
blow us out of the water.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's insane. That's insane. When I think about what I believe in, I'm like, oh my God, this is like the greatest gift ever. And people are gonna blow it because they're gonna come up with excuses. Your point is taken. I wrote this book to suffocate every excuse. And yet, people won't do it. And I know that because, look, the foundations of being in shape are out there with eating and exercising. We all know it. It's not like you don't know. It's not like I'm walking around being like, no, I think if I eat a ton of carbs and don't exercise, it's all gonna be epic. Like, we know it, but can you do it?
So true.
So what are the common things that you see stopping? Like, you speak on stages, you go in from the boardrooms to warehouses to schools.
Well,
what is stopping people?
You two are gonna like this. This is how I evolved into the Gary Vaynerchuk I am now. I used to think it was tactics and all my books were written like that, and then I realized it was insecurity.
Absolutely, because even in your story in the beginning of the book, Dogface almost didn't even post that video that got the millions and millions of views. And Gary, I gotta tell you, I'm very guilty of not posting videos because I think I look like an idiot. And I know, reading your book, I know that's one of the biggest mistakes, because you say, someone else is gonna find it valuable. Just get it out there. But many of us stop.
Yeah, and look, it's hard. Like, many of us stop because we're insecure about the way we look.
Yes.
Right?
The
like
sound, whatever it is.
Yeah, people don't like the sound. Like, I hate it. I hear people saying, I don't like the sound of my voice. I'm like, why?
It makes me want to cry for them.
It makes me want to cry.
It makes me emotional. So what do you say to them? Gary,
I say that I'm desperately scared of regret. Everyone's gonna be 90, God willing, and you're gonna be like, fuck, why didn't I?
Yes. Just yesterday, I had a gentleman tell me on a live video,
Amy, I want to post these videos. I'm making them like you say I need to make them, but I look at myself and I'm 60 years old and I look so old, and I look around and everyone's young on TikTok and I just can't do it. And you're saying, but it's that regret if you don't.
Correct, because he's gonna be 80, not 60, and he's gonna think he looked phenomenal at 60, number one.
Yes. Amen.
And number two, I live my life out of the great fear of regret, and I think everyone ends up there. Whatever you're scared of now, it's not gonna be as scary as being 91 and realizing you never followed your true self. Only bet on me, right? Like the biggest bet I probably made was the first one, which was, I believe that I'm so remarkable, thank you, Mom, that I think I can actually spend the first 10 to 15 years of my career building a business for my parents and then leaving with nothing and starting over. You know, my story has been massaged for, I mean, many people know my actual story, but there are many people, because I read the comments, who like to think like I read a comment the other day on a TikTok post. They're like, how do we listen to this guy? He inherited a winery. I laughed so hard when I read that. I was like, first of all, it was a liquor store in New Jersey, and second of all, you can go look at who owns it now. I sure don't. Like, I think the biggest bet I ever made on me was actually that I wouldn't resent my parents, and that's probably the biggest bet I made. I knew that I loved them so much and I admired them so much, and that I thought I was so capable. I mean, it's pretty insane in hindsight. At the time, it seemed really logical to me, but it's pretty insane to like decide when you're me that you're gonna go work in your dad's liquor store for what ended up being every day for 12 years, and I'm still close to it. Every day, 6 or 7 days a week, 10 or 15 hours a day, give up your entire 20s of enjoyment and joy, and never get paid $100,000 a year while you build them a massive business, and then leave and start VaynerMedia. And I had so little money, I had to start it in Buddy Media's conference room because I didn't have money to pay for rent. That's fucking crazy.
Yes. So
I bet on myself emotionally. Think about what I did. I bet on myself emotionally. I thought I would be emotionally strong enough to not be upset that I did that, and I ended up being very right.
How did you reach the top of entrepreneurship? Like, how are you so successful? Why are you an outlier when it comes to the other 500 million entrepreneurs out there?
My perception of it is it's similar to the iconic people in other merit-based worlds, sports, music and entertainment. Like, I think what's cool about business is like, you can't hide. You know, what I love about sports is like, you can say you're good at it, but you have to actually play one-on-one basketball. And if you lose 11-0 to your buddy that you said you're good at it, you're not good at it. Same with business. You could say, you know this, you're growing up in an era, like I grew up in an era where entrepreneurship was not cool. You're growing up in an era where it went completely the other way.
Everybody is.
And everybody says they are, but are they? You know, I'm a rapper. But am I? And so, couple things. One, I think because there's more entrepreneurs than ever, but they're not really entrepreneurs, they're aspiring entrepreneurs. They have entrepreneurial tendencies. And so it seems like there's a lot more. That's one. So to your point, out of all, like the base is bigger. When I was a kid, the word didn't even exist. When I was 13, 16, 19, I'm like, I'm gonna be a businessman. That would be the only word I would use. I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was. As a matter of fact, the first time I even remember hearing the word, it kind of seemed like the thing that like you were a loser actually. Like you said you were an entrepreneur, but like you were living on the beach and your parents, like it had a really and then it went like completely the other way. So that's one. Two, back to sports and music. Like Beyonce was born with her voice and her swag and her talents. Now she put in ungodly amounts of work as a child to today. LeBron, as a child. I think where I really lucked out is I put in a work as a child in a world that almost nobody was doing what I was doing at the time. Like when I tell you I punted school, like I don't believe that people will believe me when I say this. But I know that the Adam Blums and the Garrett Van Fleets and the Pam Moseses and the Robin Martzes and the Robbie Turnicks that grew up with me know this to be true. in high school, I did not do one homework assignment in all 4 years. Not one. Not only that, somewhere around, I believe, sophomore year, but it might even been second half of freshman year, I, for 4 years of high school, did not open a book once. I did not hand in one book report, and I guessed on my Scantron all 4 years, A, B, C, B, A, all 4. I got zeros on tests. I was 243 out of 254 in class rank. I had a 1.6 something GPA, and I got a D in speech. I went so to the extreme. Even today, where entrepreneurship's allowed, we're like a 14-year-old entrepreneur now. We're like, yo, you got it. Like, you're the next Zuckerberg, right? And we champion them. Even those kids aren't 100% entrepreneur and completely punt school. It's very rare. So I think the reason I stood out was I put in way more work than everybody and had natural talent.
Yeah.
And that's really the answer. First of all, I would say that I got very fortunate. I think it's in me. It was, if I'm analyzing at 48 years old, it was in my DNA. And then it was reinforced at scale by the person that probably gave me the DNA, my mom. So I think humility, and it's interesting, I appreciate you saying that. I think as I'm getting older, people are seeing it in the action. Because, I'm an interesting communicator. And so, I'm competitive and I'm Jersey and I curse. And, I think early in my career, I was very empathetic that humble wouldn't be what people first saw. But I'm very proud that as I'm later in my career, the actions, for you, it's easy as somebody who watches carefully enough that it's something I'm very proud of. And there's much that goes into it. Why is it important to me? It keeps me, I think it's an incredible trait. I think it's a very attractive trait. And I also think it's a very strong competitive advantage. I think humility protects you from delusion. It protects you from getting high in your own supply. And it just protects you from a lot of things that I think are yucky for people that win. I enjoy being liked more by the people that actually know me than the ones that don't. And there are many people that we all put on a pedestal that are living the reverse life.
Yeah.
And so it is in my essence. The reason I give back so much is I never want to get away from the kid in the dirt. I know where I came from. It's important to me. I'm aware that we live in a world now where I will literally say something on this podcast, for sure, because I'm confident in that. That's my confidence, that is going to have a positive impact on someone in a real way, actually. And that is incredibly fulfilling. It gets me high. I really almost don't, I'm so hardwired to understand why wouldn't I? But I'm very empathetic to why I wouldn't and why others don't. I'll give you an example. I have a friend who just she believes leaving the home, looking pristine is the most important thing in the world. And, is there a mix of insecurity there? Sure. But in her soul, I know her well enough. It's no, this is important. How you present, I don't know if I'm taking a minute to get ready and go out. And I get guy and girl, there's things, right? But everyone's allowed to have things that are religious to them, right?
Yeah.
That are their North Stars. For me, being a nice person and providing back to the game that put me on is everything. It's everything to me. Entrepreneurship as a framework, especially for kids that came from the dirt, is what was the game that allowed me to have my life. I must contribute to that game at all costs.
For people who don't take risks naturally, who aren't naturally creative, do you think they're cut out for entrepreneurship?
No. Creative is different, but risk is the requirement.
Yeah.
Because you're naturally risking from the second you start. You are saying, I am good enough to stand on my own 2 feet. And I will either succeed in all of your faces or I will fail in front of all your faces. And the majority of human beings on earth do not have the stomach to fail in front of everyone's faces. One of the other ways I could have answered your last question is because I'm not scared to lose.
Yeah.
Why did I achieve a lot? Because I wasn't scared.
Yeah.
There's many things I was scared to do. Like I don't want to jump out of a plane. So I'm not a good plane jumper. But when it comes to entrepreneurship, my giving a fuck about people's judgment on my failures is zero. And it's been zero for so long that it's so ingrained in me. And if you can't deal with judgment, and if you can't deal with taking a step back, you know how humility works? When you make do you know what it feels like? You're going through a very interesting journey, and so a lot of entrepreneurs right now. One of the worst feelings in the world is to make a lot less money professionally than you used to, because you once taste the alternative. Never making $100,000 a year and living $70,000 a year and being happy is one of the great lives of all time. Getting up to $400,000 a year, but then having whatever happened, that job loss, new business side hustle lost, and going to 180, that's tough. Flying first class and then never being able to afford it, and now sitting middle seat coach, that fucks with people's psyches. Not me.
Yeah.
Not me. And as if, what are you gonna say to me that's gonna make me value your opinion in a world where I know you've got a lot of things not going well too? Corporate and entrepreneurs and creators alike love ore. Everybody loves ore, brother. People love ore. And meanwhile, over here, the brilliant one, the good brother of the two brothers, because ore's the bad brother, is And. And's sitting over here being like, yo, I'm here. I can solve all your problems. It's unbelievable right now. I'm gonna do a really interesting exercise. I think people are gonna email me about this. My email is Gary@VaynerX.com, VaynerX. Email me only, because I get too many emails. Email me only if something profound just happened when I do this. Please stop, forget about this interview. I hope you're enjoying it. And think about 1 or 2 or 3 things you're struggling with right now in life. Forget about even business. And just tell me if you replace the or thinking with and thinking, I can do both. And that, not or. By the way, this happens all the time in my life when I do this with my inner circle of friends, family, associates. It's shocking what happens to your ability to solve a problem when you follow and versus or. And so if something just unlocked for you and you are on your way, please let me know, because I'd love to. The answer is and. Of course you should do what's working. It's like being a brand. Gary, should we market to heavy users? Hell yeah. We need to keep them and hopefully get another unit out of them. But Gary, what about prospecting new users? Hell yeah. We want people to start the process of becoming a heavy user. So, of course. And that's actually the issue with brand guidelines and tone of voice. It makes everything so limited, nobody can make stuff. And it's all politics. People are treating individual social media posts like a Super Bowl commercial. The meetings, brother, cost more than just posting the content. And back to that, when people are like, change that adjective or change that color purple to blue, post both.
Right, see what works. You have to try different things.
Yeah, and remember, it's an ad. They're both ads. If you're willing to run the same commercial on television 4,000 times on a flight, why wouldn't you post the same piece of content twice with different colors or a slight change in adjective? People have got it all wrong, brother. I'm telling you, the game is broken. Fortune 5000 treats social like a bastard child when it's the golden goose, and their operational vigor and processes are based on television, which you take 9 months to think through something to get it out in the world, versus something that I just wrote a book called Day Trading on. This is day to day. And it's an amazing opportunity. You can advertise every single day and things may pop. And then you'll sell stuff and get insights. It is crazy to me. All out of absolute ideology of the past, audacity, creatives that don't want to do in social because they're too good for it, forgot that they weren't good enough for Hollywood, so who are they? The whole thing's broken, bro. The whole thing's broken. It was enjoyable, right? I was trying to build an internet business and a retail business for my dad's store. To your point, I literally made the signs when I say I made the signs, I literally, like, an hour of my day every day in my 20s was going around the store making new displays of things I wanted to sell, and then taking out like an 8x10 piece of hard paper and taking a marker and making signs and putting it up and watching consumer behavior and trying to learn how to write emails that made people buy things back in 97, 98, 99, 2000, buying my own Google AdWords, managing, operating early on in my creator career from 2006 to 2013. All of my content I did myself, I filmed it, I put it up, like I wrote every tweet, honestly, it's the days that I most miss. It's fun. I love the journey. I'm at a weird point in my career where now people know me, and that's different. That's a new phenomenon for me, and I'll never do a new business or new venture where it'll be in the dark. And I missed the dark. I missed nobody paying attention to my mad scientist ways and clocking in and clocking out and putting in the work and learning and making mistakes and adjusting and really honing my humility and confidence and balancing those two, and consumers and listening for the opportunity to talk. So much of my career is based on what I say. Most people don't realize most of my day is listening, reading my DMs, watching what's happening, what's trending, seeing mango gummies go viral before it's written about or covered on a great show like this. I pride myself in having my pulse to the beginning of things, and our micro moments, viral moments, actually previews of macro consumer trends. I'm gonna say that really slow one more time, because I think this could be the one sentence that brings value to senior marketers that are listening. Can a micro viral moment be the beginning of a macro consumer trend? These are things I really care about. And so back, what was it like? It was the best, especially because I was building it for my father, right? I was very obsessed, probably unhealthy, obsessed in giving back to my parents, bringing us from the Soviet Union to America. I put my parents on a pedestal. They're my best friends. I love them the most. And I knew I was a talented kid with business because I proved it to myself with baseball cards and early times that I worked in the liquor store from 14 to 20. And so the early days were awesome in building the business, and the early days of being a content creator were awesome because I was learning the craft. I think something that makes VaynerMedia, my agency, so unique is I'm the chairman CEO, but I am an active executor of our services, and am easily, and this is with all due respect, I apologize to all 2,000 employees that work for me when they hear this, but I'm easily the most proficient and skilled at the craft as well within the organization. That is unheard of, brother, in advertising. Every CEO that I compete with is sitting in an ivory tower of a corporation, predominantly in Europe, that couldn't post on a social network or know how to run a media play or know what, LiveRamp is or data lakes or DMPs, or forget about what I wrote about in this book, the first 3 seconds of a video and the creative variable and the copy and the time you post, the science around the art. I mean, this is my craft. Do you understand that I've been grinding every day for 15 years to build up this audience of mine that I treated like email marketing, meaning I would try to put out a piece of content that brought them value, but I knew that I put in all this work and I had 15 million followers and a percentage of them would see it, just like email and email open rates. Now, you, brother, can post a video today around ping pong, around this blog, or this podcast, or this whatever. And if the content is right of the moment culturally and uses best practices on platform, and the book I talk about it as PAC, Platforms and Culture, the fact that you can get more views than anything I've ever made in my career, that is a level of creative meritocracy and consumer insights to why it happened that Fortune 500s dream about and spend millions of dollars on And I can't believe that they continue to disrespect this as content. These are ads. Social media ads. This is a new thing at VaynerMedia. We've banned content. It is social media ads. And even the word test. Do you know that we've also banned test? And you're not wrong about the way you said it. But when you say, hey brand, you can test and learn up until, and they just think it's a proxy to the commercial. To me, this is advertising for the sake of better advertising. John, let me say this. I start the book with the ocean spray example that it all sold out across America because of one TikTok. More recently, Walgreens has a private label called Nice. You probably bought their nuts like everybody else at the register at times, right?
And I've bought like their water for $5 for 24 before. Oh yeah.
There you go.
You bet.
They have a private label named Nice, and one of the things they make amongst peanuts and water is mango gummy candies.
That's right.
So this is on your radar?
Yep. Yeah, we've reported on it actually a few weeks ago.
I love you, because that means you are doing God's work to changing this industry. A single post, as you know, of mango gummy, Nice private label mango candy went out, caught fire, and every bag at Walgreens across America sold out. So much so that if everybody who's listening right now goes to eBay, opens up the app or their laptop and goes to eBay and types in Nice mango gummies, enter, and then if they know how to use eBay, go to completed items and click, you will see that many people have bought them for a massive arbitrage on the flip because the demand was that significant. A single ad, not even done by an agency or a brand, sold out this product across America in record time, had enormous economic impact, and there is not a single example of a television commercial achieving that in the last 5 years. If you take anything out of this interview and you want to crush social, obsess with platforms and culture. Platforms are, what are the platforms currently doing that they give a shit about? So when Facebook announces carousels, good news, they need to test it. That means you should be making carousels because more people are gonna see it organically, right? If the trends of the consumers on the platforms are people like skits, that's a platform and culture thing because you gotta always know what's going on in culture. Culture is pop culture. Mm-hmm. Do you know that baggy pants are back? Like, cause tight jeans were fucking crushing 7 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. Do you know that Crocs came back 5 years ago? Because 6 years ago, they were Dorkville USA, but 20 years ago, they were killing it. Do you know what's going on with Aiden Ross and Sexy Red's controversy, or don't you? Do you know? Like, do you know pop culture, or don't you? Because if you do know pop culture, you're able to create crazy relevance, right? Do you because you're able to integrate that into your copy or the creative itself. There's a few moments, there's 3 weeks to 7 weeks there where the corn kid is a social media obsession, or that the Walgreens private label Nice mango gummies are hot with Gen Alpha for a week. But if you're in the fucking gummy business, you should know that. Or you sell candy, you should, do you have a pulse of popular culture on everything? Because what's pop culture to maybe us is definitely not pop culture to somebody that lives in Peru. There's people that literally, I had a friend, because I'm 48 now, so most of my friends are fucking finished. And what I mean by that is deep pop culture. I literally had a friend 6 months ago text me, yo, have you heard of this guy, Bad Bunny? I'm like, what the fuck?
Where have you
I'm
been?
like, dude, please don't text anybody that. You know what I mean? I literally took a screenshot of me DMing Bad Bunny in 2017 for him. I'm like, yes, I've heard, razzing him of he's finished and he's a fucking suburban dad. Do you know or don't you know?
Yeah.
So culture matters heavy for content because we're gonna have to be better than everybody else. And if you can interstitial pop culture, you will win. Mm-hmm. Do you know it's a lavender latte at Starbucks for the season? You can factor, I like that you, see, but notice what just happened? She shook her head because that one hit for her. Whereas Sexy Red and Aiden, So imagine if I want both of them to give a shit about me, I've got to do both those things because I've got 1 second in feed for them to give a fuck. It's okay.
Platforms and culture. To me, that's very point in time, right? They're always changing. You've got to know what features are hot on the platform. You've got to know the algorithm, right? You've got to know what's hot.
Day trading.
Then you have strategic organic content.
Yes.
And to me, that's more about understanding human behavior.
Strategic organic content is the content that follows the pack framework in my mind. If you know those two things, then you make according to that, that is the outcome.
Yeah.
That is the content. I'll give you an example. It sounds like, I haven't dug under the hood, but I will after this interview, that you're doing real work in LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So that means most likely that you want on the P part, the platform. I know that because I also heard you talk about what the platform's doing. If you knew more about, this is how you get way better, this is how I get way better every day. In the pack framework, you can get to a place pretty quickly, 6 months, where you really know how the platform works. You've clearly done that on LinkedIn. What is really cool for you to go to the stratosphere is if you actually knew what was in pop culture talk for literally SaaS salesmen. For literally I know this is gonna resonate with you. Like if you knew the fucking slang and the shit that every Fortune 500 CFO cared about, or every late stage VC CIO, now you're fucking cooking. Got it?
Yep.
Because now it's not just you know that this kind of content will work. Now you know even what the video or picture needs to do. Got it?
Yes.
That's pack. And so then what we call SOC, strategic organic content, is the framework. It's the reason I created SOC and we run it heavy here at Vayner is organic content, meaning posting without media behind it or amplifying it, is now the single most important thing in marketing in the world. It's the game.
Okay.
If I needed to put the S in front of it, because by making it strategic, I'm trying to make sure that everybody in my company and all my clients and anybody around me realizes I need you to think about this. That's what we've been talking about for the last 10 minutes. There's a lot of people listening right now that I can feel them right now as they're walking the dog on the treadmill. I can feel them saying, ooh, there's a lot to this. It isn't just like, no wonder my videos are not doing good. You know, there's something to this. That's how I think about this.
Yeah. So I want to dig in on strategic organic content. So one of the things that I want to write my first book on is human behavior online, because I feel like if you understand human behavior, even if algorithms are changing, certain things don't change. You always want to see a face. You always want to have a hook. Everybody wants things shorter and skimmable, right? So there's always things.
That last one, the first two I liked a lot. The last one's an interesting one for me.
I guess it depends on the platform and what the purpose is, right?
And you'd be shocked. I mean, I promise you, we'll clip this in the future. There's gonna be 7-minute videos on TikTok that crush in 3 years. Crush. The thing that, this goes back to a big thesis in the book. If it's good, you can do anything. If it is a wildly compelling 19-minute video, you can crush on Instagram, though it is very unlikely to be good enough to be able to do that, right? So the reason I jumped in is you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add a curveball to everybody listening. It's not universal. Just because people make unlimited 7-second videos that people stop watching after a half a second because it's a shitty 7-second video. And there's also incredible amounts of outliers, if you pay very close attention, of longer form video in social. 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, that have a lot of validity. And honestly, for a lot of people listening, they might have just heard something that got them excited because in their gut, they're like, you know what? I really can make epic 4-minute videos. I guess TikTok's not for me, but it is. There's a reason these platforms, back to P, have extended the length of their video time. There's a reason.
So what should we do when we have really good performing content?
We should amplify it. If you can afford to spend media dollars after a piece of content went crazy, then you should do that. And if you're just a creator by yourself and you're like a kid, if you're listening right now and you're 16 and like you dunked on your little sister in the basketball rim in your room and it has 3 million followers on TikTok and you have ambition to be known and you want to do something with it, don't let the algorithm be the only way you get reach. Google, how do I run ads on TikTok? ChatGPT, how do I run ads on TikTok? Read and learn, like how everything works, or watch a video. And then you as a 16-year-old take your $40 and spend it on getting more people to see it.
Yeah. Okay, so
because the world has shown you that it's good. You're not guessing. You didn't dunk on your sister and then spend 40 up front. This is how all advertising works, as you know. We guess. Now we can live in a world where we can do it post-spend media, not pre-spend media. It's huge.
So once we see something working, lean into it, invest in it. Don't just invest in things that you haven't tested yet, basically.
Think about it. It's like working out. Like if you see something's working and your physique is looking, why would you stop and try to do something else and hope it works? Like you got it, go. We have not figured it out because the way media had worked forever was you spent the money on something you were guessing on. You thought the commercial would do well. You thought the billboard would go well. You thought your newspaper ad was good. Storytelling is omni. I don't even, as you know, it's not something I really touched on a whole lot because it's oxygen. Life is storytelling. Everything's a story. I don't want to get super philosophical here, but everything, every person in the world, all 8 billion of us, everything we believe in is a story. All of it.
Amazing.
It's the whole game. The reason I don't really go into like storytelling all that much is like my book on storytelling would be literally 1 page. It's everything. Like, the end. Like, meaning like the reason you believe in anything you believe in is because you bought the story.
Yeah.